Welcome to episode 3 of Disruption and Kindness. I'm Travis Swearengen. I'm sitting here with Caleb Monroe.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about brands, businesses, and how they impact culture. What's up, dude?
Hold on.
Come on, bro.
Why am I feeling so nervous about this one? It's super weird.
Yeah?
I don't know that I've ever felt that before.
Keep it in here. No, keep that on. Why are you nervous?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think that when you hit a certain point and you hit success and people are really happy and they're motivated about it, I guess there's just a pressure to continue that trajectory and not have a bad one.
Well, we've gotten good feedback on the first 2 episodes. And so now I'm sitting there going do we have enough content to keep this thing going? And it's only episode 3. Of course we do.
Sure.
And, we're also covering so many current events that there's always going to be a stream of content coming out for us. There's always stuff happening in business and branding and marketing. And so we have this never ending pool of content, but it gets a little nerve wracking because we've done well the first 2 episodes, and now it's we have to keep that momentum going.
Sure. I don't know that it's a lack of content for me, because I know that I can talk about these things, and I know that the expertise is there and that the content will keep coming.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm looking at this going, people are enjoying this.
Right.
I'm wanting to make sure they continue enjoying it. And then I get in my head, I'm the guy that's editing, pulling out clips. I'm my own worst critic about what deserves to be clipped out. What are people going to respond to?
Sure.
And just not allowing that level of likes or traction or sharing or commentary to really stop me from just throwing it out there. And I think that, getting past that and getting into the hurdle, getting into the flow of this podcast, the anxiety is already going away. This stuff's already leaving because I'm able to tell myself again, it's not about that.
Well, it's so easy to start questioning what are people going to respond to, and we just don't actually just give them the opportunity to just respond themselves, and so I don't know. I'm really excited to keep this thing rolling and to keep it going. I think we have a great episode for today. Sure. But I get it. The nerves are real.
We like making decisions based on data.
Sure.
Right? And I think that we have 2 episodes to go off of right now.
Which is nothing.
Exactly. It's nothing. And in terms of podcasts, the trajectory looks like nothing. And then, after a ways, it'll start getting traction. People will go back through old episodes and it'll start to kick up.
Sure. So
we're just kind of going blind right now. And based on certain feedback that we've got, people that have reached out, encouraging notes, people in business that are reaching out saying, hey, they want to work with us. We're clearly hitting very positive notes.
Right.
And just wanting to make sure that we keep that up.
I mean, I'm already starting to see even sales wise how this podcast is starting to make an impact on our business. And it's an exciting thing. We're going through this really awesome growth stage right now.
Right.
We had just brought on a creative director, which has been a whole different, aspect of our business that we're trusting somebody with.
Right.
Up until this point, Monsoon has been a partner game. It's been you and Travis for years, and then I came in a year ago. Right. And we have been the salespeople, we've been the consultants, we've been the service provider, we've done everything. And so now we're starting to entrust and we're starting to delegate things to somebody else, which is a completely new dynamic. And I don't care how many times someone's done this. It is always so difficult for a business owner to hire someone and start really trusting them with big aspects of the business. And I know that he's mainly working in your department right now. Mm-hmm. How's that been?
Yeah, I've watched businesses go through this, and we've even mentioned it the past couple of podcasts. We've kind of tiptoed around this idea that we're scaling and that we've brought on a new creative director, but I've seen it happen so many times in other businesses, and now walking through it in my own, it's really interesting. Because I think on the outside, it's almost like when you walk through a supermarket. And before I had kids, I was the guy that would see a parent with their kids and an interaction would go a little weird. And I'd be like, oh, that's not how I would do that as a parent. It's very easy from the outside to have ideas and understanding about how you should handle employees and how you should bring people on. How do you make them culture carriers? These things I care a lot about. And then now that we're here and in the middle of it, how do you fit someone in that you hired them so they could be productive?
Right.
But in the midst of that, you have to find time for training them well and instilling the culture of the company on top of your own workload. Like there's just a pressure point when you bring somebody on who's supposed to be handling project level work, that you're tackling more than just your own workload. You're training them, you're discipling them, you're saying this is who we are, this is how we respond to clients, and on top of your own level of work. And when do you feel confident enough to let go?
Right.
And allow them to shoulder it?
It's terrifying.
Yeah, for me, I've been doing this for 8 to 10 years now, like doing web design, doing it commercially, doing branding, and building an understanding of how we interact with clients. And now I'm expecting to pull somebody in and very quickly, in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, have them up to snuff and ready to handle that workload. It just doesn't realistically work that way. And so this is kind of just a pressure point. But to be completely frank, Vince is crushing it.
Right.
100%. He's knocking it out of the park. And it's exciting to see somebody that does things differently than me, because it just makes me better.
Right.
There are things that I just do because I've done them that way forever. And he'll come along and do something a little bit different with a website and forces me to take a step back and go, that's not how I would have done it, but I really like that.
Right.
And it's growing me, and it's growing the department and the work that we're doing as well.
Sure.
So
He's an absolute monster. I really struggled with that whenever I was a partner in my old agency. We started expanding the team back in 2018, and it was just so difficult to let go and to trust, because you don't want to mess up a client relationship. You don't want someone to do something that's going to cost your agency tons of money, or I don't know. It was just such a terrifying prospect. And so luckily with this go around, we happened to have hired a really close friend of mine who I already had a very personal and also a really great working relationship with. And so this go around for me has been a lot easier than it was whenever I was hiring people, and I was hiring people based off their resume or based off of the experience they told me they had or whatever else. Like this go around has been a lot simpler, but delegating one of the most important money makers in our business to a new guy, and also trying to develop this podcast and trying to work on our content wing for our company has been crazy. It's completely shifted our workloads. It's completely shifted what we do and prioritize during the day. And we've got someone just constantly working on these projects where we had to like really figure out like how are we going to, and that's probably one of the reasons why the podcast took so long to come out, is because we were also the service provider. We were also building every site, building every single marketing campaign, doing the brand workshops, doing the everything. And at some point our roles are going to be way more content based and way more focused on consulting versus the actual offering the actual service itself. So I think that bringing Vince on has really allowed us to have the bandwidth to focus on sales and grow the business and scale, but to also do content like this. This would not have happened if we hadn't brought him on.
Yeah, and I just want to backtrack a little bit and just hit a point that businesses who are seeking to scale, I think the number one mistake that they make is not being able to let go and trust the people that they have working underneath them. Yeah. Because the point of scaling is that this person is taking a load off of your plate so that your bandwidth can be used elsewhere. Several business people that I talk to, a really good friend of mine, Adam, he says that the role of the business owner is that you will build a business around yourself that you're only doing the thing that you can do. Yeah. And I think that I'm looking at myself, and there are clear skill sets that I have in terms of strategic meetings with clients and being able to sit down and actually offer a ton of value to them on what do you actually need for your business, where are the bottlenecks, and discovering those that not a lot of people can do inside of our business. As far as executing on a website and hitting that standard, I think that's something other people can do. And that's a big reason we identified pulling in a creative director, pulling in Vince, and teaching him how to do that. But if I am not able to overcome my anxiety, overcome my need for perfection and how I would do things the exact way I would do it, Vince will never do it my way. Right. He's never going to 100%, no matter how much scheduling or documentation that I hand him, he will never 100% do it the way that I will. And yet I think that business owners carry that mentality that they're unhappy at the work that a employee is doing and offering. if it's not 100% up to what they would do and through the exact same way that their brain would work. And so instead, they don't trust their employees. They don't trust the people underneath them. They don't give them the agency to be able to make mistakes and to grow and to learn, and it not just be this huge slam. It's been a week and a half. I expect you to do this stuff. You better not make a mistake or you're out of here.
Right.
It's a very unforgiving environment that they pull these employees into, instead of it being a safe place for them to make a mistake, to learn how to own up to a client when something didn't go correctly, to have checks and balances in place to where we're creating this dance now between my old workload and what you're actually bringing to the table. And I think if I allow 80% of the way that I would do it in terms of quality and timeline and the ability for him to knock it out of the park, and I'm giving him that 20% agency to do it his way and go whichever direction he wants to reach that result, and I'm okay with that, that's when I begin to feel the joy of scaling, because I have someone that I can trust that's actually knocking it out of the park. But I think there's a lot of other things that go into ensuring that you have someone, like hiring, for example, like not to go too deep into the paint on this, but if you're going to trust somebody and you don't need to micromanage them and keep eyes on them constantly, you probably need to make sure their character is stellar, that they're actually going to do the work when their eyes aren't on you, that they're passionate about what they're at. And so hiring is a big portion of that. And I felt zero issues at all when we looked events and we're talking with him and stuff. He's clearly passionate. He's driven. He's already doing this in another place. So for us, it was very easy. He met those criteria, and now I'm able to feel the weight coming off us, able to pursue content. We're able to pursue sales. I'm able to go out there and do something that only I can do, instead of now just micromanaging something else on my plate.
And I think that because of the industry that we're in, it is so much harder, because we're sitting here talking about like making sure the quality is good, making sure he's doing things how we would do it. But we're in the design business. And perfection and quality are completely subjective. And so it's like his interpretation of a project or of an aesthetic need isn't necessarily wrong, and ours isn't either. We just have completely different takes on things. And that's what makes it even harder to let go of, because it's like we know we have this feeling of how things need to be, but we're in a subjective field, and we have to like overcome this idea that like we have to have everything our way, and that quality can look like something else. And so I don't know. It's a pretty interesting struggle.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think it really brings us, like, I'm very passionate. Past couple of weeks, we've talked about some things that we've been passionate about. But one of the questions that we wanted to bring up today, just between the two of us, is what motivates us in business. Like, what causes you to get up in the morning? Like, what makes you want to be an entrepreneur instead of just going out and finding a normal job? So why business, and what motivates you, Travis?
Man, that's such an evolving answer in my life, especially over the past few years. I think whenever I first started, I had a career path that I was really passionate about, that after a while I just didn't enjoy it anymore. And so when I first started business, my motivation was really just to find something that I enjoyed and that I was good at, that used my skill sets. And so for the longest time, what was motivating me in business was just finding what was I supposed to be doing with my life. And over time, I started becoming motivated by other things, like realizing that the people that I work with have families, and they have kids, and they have hopes and dreams and ambitions and mortgages, and realizing that I don't want to let them down. I don't want us to falter as a business, because it could cause them to falter personally, financially. Like that's a motivating factor. Another big motivating factor in my life right now is that I met my future wife back in December, completely unexpectedly, and so now I'm going to be a husband here in December, and I'm going to be supporting her through grad school, and that's a huge motivating factor. Like, I cannot fail. I really can. And I think that the idea of like, or the fear of like, what happens if Monsoon fails, definitely pushes me to get up and to get here every day, and to grind and to work hard.
Sure. As far as what motivates me in business, I would say, like you, it's been an evolving thing over time.
Yeah.
When I first started, I never imagined that I would be in business. I was completely content being an employee. And then there was an opportunity when I moved out to Denver to start a company. And I was super green, young, ignorant, had no clue what was really going on. Navigating my talents actually being a part of something that makes a sale, that I feel the impact of that money. And I'm aware of money as it's traveling through the business and the overhead and where it goes. It was so fascinating to me. But I would say early on, it was a very cowboy phase, just proving that I could.
Right.
You know, like I got my 6 shooters on my hips and I'm ready to go and I can do this. And I think that changed over the course of time when Rhonda, my wife, and I, we began to have children. And I began to realize that, you know, my wife, Rhonda, is incredible. And I couldn't do what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for her.
Sure.
There are so many business owners that don't have a spouse that loves risk and understands it as a part of their marriage. And I think that I have a wife that looks at me, and when I look at her and I'm like, we have to jump on this. I'm really feeling that this is something that we need to do. She's like, yep, let's do it. I'm with you all the way. And that gives me such a freedom to be able to step up and go places knowing that I'm not going there alone. And so I think with business, what motivates me has changed from being, can I do this?
Sure.
Now I can. It's proven. I've been doing this for years.
Right.
Now it's changed from can I do it to how can I do it the best? And I think it is something that I suck at sales if I'm selling something that I know isn't the best.
Right.
If my product or service is second best and someone out there is doing better than me, I will genuinely look my clients in the eye and tell them to go over there because it would be better for them.
Right.
So it's a huge motivating factor for me to make sure that what we're offering is the best, because I have this moral block, and it used to frustrate my old partner out in Denver because I blew so many sales meetings. We would go in with a client and I'd be listening to them and he would be trying to throw everything up against the wall to get it to stick.
Right.
Like, you need a website, you need social media, you need a logo, you need this. And like, you know, whatever would actually hit the final invoice, he was happy with.
Sure.
And I'm listening to the client and I'm realizing like, no, you don't need this. What you actually need is this product or service that we don't even offer. And I would tell them that in the meeting, and immediately there's this like, between everything he was talking about, my old partner, and everything I was talking about, the client very quickly realized that both of us couldn't be correct. And so I blew so many meetings because they're like, okay, well, I trust this guy because he's being straight up with me.
Right.
Clients would trust me because of my recommendations, because I cared more about their success than I did us making a dime. And so I think that learning to do business a different way, learning to do business where I have to make sure my product and service we're offering is the best and at least completely competitive, or I can't even sell it. So every single product that we're talking about, like between websites and graphic design and logo and branding, I want to make sure it's the best. And that's really what motivates me right now, is constantly innovating our processes and constantly providing a very modern expression for the websites that we're building to where we're pushing our industry forward with what we're offering.
Absolutely. And I see that trend in like so much of my sales training. Like, I've been through thousands of dollars worth of sales courses, and so many different sales coaches have all said you have to genuinely and deeply believe in your product and what you're selling. And that's a sales lesson for anyone in our audience that has something to sell.
Sure.
Do you believe in your product? Do you believe that this is the solution that your customers are after? Like, every customer base that you have has a problem that you're trying to solve. Why are you the solution? Do you believe that you're the solution? And then take those beliefs and let it motivate you to sell them. And you'll never be the sleazy, dishonest salesman if you actually believe you're solving their problem.
Right.
It'll never happen. Like, people are afraid of being salesmen. We're all salesmen. Everyone in business is a salesman. It's okay to make sales. It is okay to pursue money. It's okay to try and grow your business. It's okay to do all of those things. If you feel like you're sleazy, you need to ask yourself if you really believe in what you're selling. You need to be really believe in the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yep. Not selling somebody something they don't need is huge.
Right.
I think when I used to approach sales, it was from that sleazy car salesman. I felt like, I'm calling you up. Cold calls were the worst. I hated cold calling. It would honestly take me like 8 minutes of just motivating myself and getting ready for it and pumping myself up to making a call, because I knew I'm interrupting this person's day. I'm saying, hey, pay attention to me. Give me a moment of your time. I felt like those snake oil salesmen back in the Old West who's just shouting on a street corner because I have the next miracle cure for their business. When I've developed no relationship with them, I don't know anything about them in the first place. And so I hated sales from that old mentality. And I think since learning that when, for example, I listen to a great CD or an album, a song is just catching my heart and I want to go share that with somebody, that's the essence of what sales should be, that I've encountered something that's great. I have an experience with it myself and I love it so much, I can't help but share it with somebody else. And I think that when sales becomes more about serving someone else's needs and listening to them intently and hearing what they actually have and delivering a solution, it's not selling a product. I'm selling solutions to people where they have a problem and I know how to fix it. And you're never going to feel like a sleazy salesman if you're fixing someone's problem or issue or angst. And I think that it becomes less about sales and you become more like a doctor who's treating a wound or a limp or something that's wrong. And you're like, this thing is broken. I know how to fix it. You're not going to feel like a sleazy salesman if I'm actually providing value to that person.
Right. Ryan Dice, the CEO of Digital Marketer, I've learned a ton from him. He always talks about how you're selling your customer transformation.
Sure.
You're trying to take them from this before state and transform them into this after state. This before state of they've got this problem, it's causing them a lot of issues, and you have transformed them into their problem is solved and they're in a better spot. Their business is in a better place, or they're in a better place financially or personally or whatever else. And so, I don't know. I think that really believing in your product and service is just the most crucial thing that could ever happen. And if you're in a spot where you don't believe in your product or your service, or you're not sure, you should go talk to your customers.
Yep.
Ask them, what is the problem that you had before my business came into your life? Or how has my service affected you guys? How have we impacted your life? And let those stories motivate you. Let those stories guide how you sell in the future. Like, share those stories with future prospects.
Right.
You know, like, you could literally be talking about like air conditioners. You know, and be like, I know I'm here to try and sell you an air conditioner, but I just wanted to share this story with you for one of my customers about how our AC unit like literally impacted this family's life for X reason. I mean, you can do this with any product, any service ever. And storytelling is super powerful, but it'll also impact and motivate you, and it'll make you feel like you're not being sleazy and you're not selling people something you don't need. So I don't know. I think that if you don't understand the problem, if you don't understand the service that you're offering,
Calls. Clients happen.
Well, post-production, Caleb had to fix some stuff. We got a call mid-episode that we had to take. Right. And all that good stuff. So there'll be a slight interruption.
Thanks, MacBook integration.
In your regularly scheduled program. But something we're really trying to do more and more of as we have this podcast going is doing lots of questions from people. And there's a marketer friend of mine named Gary Morris, and I put out a post on Facebook a few months ago when we were announcing that we wanted to do a podcast, and I was just asking, like, what do you want to hear out of a brand show?
Yep.
You know, and he had one of those really, really cool, and it was he said, that's a tough one. I want to hear what is most close to your heart/emotions right now regarding business, whatever that is. Dig deep, get transparent, and let us hear it, fellas. Looking forward to it, man. The Gary Morris.
The Gary Morris. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks,
honestly,
Gary.
For giving that question to us.
Absolutely. So what is close to your heart and emotions right now when it comes to business? I know we talked about like what motivates us, but what is close to your heart and how's that different?
Current, present Caleb, and what's really lighting a fire underneath me right now is just the topic of authenticity. And we've thrown that word out several times the past couple episodes, And I really want to get a core definition, because I even made a post about this yesterday on Facebook, just saying that authenticity and transparency is the currency of the modern business. And I think that people don't realize how much business culture is shifting towards the authentic. You have companies like Home Depot, and you're not allowed to just sell tools anymore. Your clients and your customers are placing pressure on you to understand where you stand on issues that are happening in politically and in our nation and our country. And they want to hear from businesses that are just a hardware store. They want to authentically understand that company, not just from the products or services that they do, but where they stand on issues. And I think that there's a level of transparency and authenticity that is now being required on businesses, that ones that are just older businesses that are paying attention to their product and service are falling behind on not communicating behind the scenes, or not communicating authenticity. And I think that there are several motivating factors for this, but I'm really passionate and excited about this idea of business where we're not just putting out our best anymore, where we're having a podcast and a phone call happens, and that's just real, and that's real life, and we don't need to be afraid or concerned about that, because it's real. Sure. And the reality is, the people that are listening to our podcast, they want to know, oh, you received a phone call. I may not clip that out. Like, there are just moments where we're embracing the authentic.
Right.
And we're embracing that this is what it looks like to run a podcast in a business, is you're going to get phone calls. This is what it looks like to run a web design company and a branding company in the current place that we're at. And I think being more authentic to that and more open to it, that's what people are hungry for. People that are listening to this podcast, it's what they want. They want something that's real. Give me the real deal.
Sure.
Stop just pitching me something. Stop selling me something. Stop just giving me the pros, and actually give me the full understanding of what's happening. And so, as far as my heart and emotions right now regarding business, and I just feel this pressure for the authentic. And because that requires me going home and looking at my life, looking at who I am when nobody's looking, and looking at who Caleb is when all the kids are down, my wife is asleep, and it's just me alone with my thoughts, that person is the same person that's on this podcast right now. Because when you have that level of authenticity that's required of you, you have to be tried and true. Through and through, not compartmentalized anymore. Like, who I am at a business meeting in a Fortune 500 company versus who I am at home with my kids, they have to be the same person. And I think that it's this push to authenticity, and not just turning on, and not just dressing up and then playing a different part when I step into different meetings, is huge. So for me, I've been doing a lot of internal thinking. I've been doing a lot of transparency on myself, my personal beliefs, where I think business is heading as a whole. Like, where am I trying to take Monsoon, even this podcast? And I think that we are kind of in agreement that we need to be making a push into the authentic. We need to be just showcasing reality. Like, this is real. Like, we're putting out bloopers for our podcast and putting out different stuff because people want to see behind the scenes, not just the prettied up product. We still need to ride this fine balance between an excellent product that we're putting out and the real deal that it takes to go through it, you know? So that's a little bit of where I'm at, but I would love to hear your heart and emotions. What's close to you right now regarding business and digging deep and getting transparent?
Man, it's kind of crazy to think about. So I lost my dad back in February, and he was just such a huge motivation, you know, for me every single day. One of my entrepreneurial goals in life was to retire him, because he always told me that he was going to work until he was dead, you know, and I didn't make it, you know. He got sick last fall and just kind of spiraled down and passed away back in February. And so this goal I had of you know, helping him pay his house off and getting him a new truck or doing something good for him so he can enjoy the last years that he had, didn't come to fruition. It didn't happen. I wasn't fast enough. And I know that so many people in our shoes have situations like that. And it may not be that, like, your dad's dying. It may not be that you're trying to take care of your family. It may be something that it's not even on our radar because we have obviously different contexts and situations in life, but I know there's so many business owners that have different motivations and fears and so much riding on their company succeeding. And it's so important to me that as an agency that we are authentic and transparent, like you talked about. Like I want people to get to know me through this show. Like I want to be completely real and honest, and I don't want to be a character, you know, and I want to provide people with actual value. I want to provide people with good information that they can use to apply to their companies and their businesses, and being able to reach goals they have. And, you know, whether they hit those goals or not, I want to help enable them to have the best shot possible, you know? And so for me, when I think about business, I'm thinking a lot less about trends and where things are headed. I'm thinking way more about like, man, each and every one of these brands that we're talking about, each and every one of these companies that we discuss, every client that we have, every prospect that we talk to, those are families. Those are people with hopes and dreams and things that they want to accomplish. Right. And it's like, what can I do with my gifts and talents and expertise and, you know, the years of grinding and making no money? What can I use with that time to impact their lives in a positive way? You know, how can I leave a lasting impact on everyone around me? You know, when my dad, like we did a video shoot for the children's home literally the night before my dad passed away. Yeah. It was probably one of the coolest projects we ever worked on, for sure. I mean, we got to, basically the Children's Home of Lubbock, they do a lot with the foster care system and adoption. And we decided as an agency that we wanted to donate a website and a logo revamp and a video for a gala they were going to have before COVID hit. Yep. And we did this video shoot, and we were interviewing the president of the children's home, and we were interviewing like the families that got to adopt kids, and they were sharing their stories about what that looked like. And afterwards, we were talking with one of the dads, and he happened to work at the company my dad worked at for 20 years. And I told him who my dad was, and he was like, "Randy Swearengen's your dad? That dude's a legend." And we laugh so hard because it's like, who...
Nobody gets that.
Nobody ever gets that.
Oh, that's your dad?
What a legend.
Like the follow-up is not, he's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just crazy. But the next day I told him what that guy said, and I let him know I was proud of him. And I want to leave a lasting impact and a positive impact on everyone around me. And I want to do that with my craft, and I want to do that with what I do, with the work of my hands and my expertise and my knowledge and my struggles.
Yeah. I think we talked about authenticity. I talked about it being important to me, but I don't know that I took it the next step and actually was authentic for what that looks like. And so I think Caleb authenticity, as far as digging deep and being transparent, I've been doing this a while. Yeah. It feels like to me. And I'm slowly, business is changing where I'm losing a lot of interest and focus on the product that we're offering. And it's becoming much more about building solid relationships with the people that I'm actually engaging and working with. Sure. Like if I just look at websites, I don't have a ton of passion or interest in that as a product. Right. It's changing from that to looking at a company and understanding their unique needs that they have. Sure. And actually spending time on the relationship angle to understand where they're wanting to go and giving them something that's going to actually cause them to succeed is where my heart is changing. Right. And my heart is trending, where I think if I just look at my life and I say that for the next 20 years, I'm going to be building killer websites that are pushing the industry forward, that isn't success to me. Right. That's not interesting to me. I don't have a passion for building good websites. And I think that deep down, what gets me out of bed and what makes me want to do this is that I know that today there's an opportunity for me to reach out and to encounter other people who are really good at what they do. I've met some incredible people who are so good at being a mechanic, who are so good at being lawyers, who I'm finding camaraderie with the fact that they want to only give their clients the best. Yeah. But they don't know how to to bring that into a digital space. And so offering them solutions and sitting down and building trust with them is incredibly important to me. So when we're talking about digging deep and getting transparent, there's a part of me that's like, I could care less about websites. And what I really care about and what I want to latch on to is building success and leaving a legacy for other people.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Like, success for me is impact. It's not Monsoon opening up a location on Madison Avenue.
Right.
It's not podcasts and YouTube subscribers and those numbers. It's not social media following. It's not even really like revenue dollars.
Yeah.
Like I want a business owner to be able to throw a 5-year-old or birthday party because they're able to afford it because we're able to help them
100%.
make things happen. I mean, I don't know. It's just so crazy. And when you really get to looking into like your clients and their lives, like I used to not allow myself to be friends with clients on Facebook. I thought that like kind of keeping like business and personal lives separate was really important, but that's not even possible. Like that's not even a thing because their business does affect their personal lives. And as I've allowed myself to kind of get to know my clients better and like watch their personal lives or watch their Instagram stories with their 2-year-old running around and hitting stuff with a baseball bat or, you know, whatever else, I'm sitting there going like, dang, like my work affects that 2-year-old kid, you know, and just kind of realizing that like the work of my hands impacts people. Like, I think I've talked about this a little bit, I think on episode 1 or 2, but I take a level personally of responsibility for like your children and for Gibson's children and for Vince's daughter. Like just knowing that the things that I do, and you know, when I'm researching a marketing book or whenever I'm working on sales tactics or whenever I'm doing keyword research, whenever I know that like what I am doing in these moments is directly impacting the futures of y'all's kids, those livelihoods, yeah, it's just huge. And again, just knowing that each and every business owner is going through that and dealing with that.
Right.
Like that, I don't know, that's success for me.
It's definitely sobering to think about it that way. It's not just a website. I'm not just kicking a product out that I don't care about anymore.
Right.
The products and services do affect the bottom line for the people that we're interacting with in a major way. But
Monsoon might not even be selling websites in 20 years.
True.
I intend for this agency to be here in 20, 30 years. We might not be selling websites at all. It's not about getting romantic about the service. I think it's about really focusing on the problem that you're trying to solve and offering them the best solution based on the context that we're in. Right.
We're just finding solutions. Right. And I'm following value. Sure. And wherever I can bring value, that's where business happens.
Right. So
and harsh transition out of the depths of our hearts and us digging deep and now transitioning up into
the surface
of current events that are happening. It seems that McDonald's has made a collaboration with a certain rapper.
God, that was a hard transition, bro.
I got to do it.
I love it. Yeah, but you're right. So Monsoon, McDonald's is doing a collaboration right now with one of my favorite rappers, Travis Scott.
Tell me about him.
So Travis Scott is a award-winning rapper from Houston. Okay. Huge following. He's got like a really big impact on Generation Z. Like recently he did like this virtual concert with Fortnite, and there was 12.3 million attendees. So it's the most attendees for any virtual concert in the history of mankind.
It's huge.
Ridiculous. It's so crazy. So he's got this huge Gen Z following, and right now McDonald's is really focusing on instilling their brand and like who they are into this upcoming generation. And so they're doing this really big collaboration with Travis Scott. And so basically what the deal is it's basically Travis Scott's favorite McDonald's order that you can just $6 go and order the Travis Scott.
What Travis Scott eats.
Yeah, it's what he eats. And it's nothing special. It's actually pretty boring. It's literally a quarter pounder with lettuce and bacon, fries, barbecue sauce, and a Sprite. I mean, probably something you already ordered last week at your last McDonald's visit. So, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but they've branded it as, like the Cactus Jack special,
right,
if you will. So they're just getting tons and tons of crazy feedback on Twitter and on TikTok and everything else from people all over. So it's been this really crazy collab, and McDonald's is allowing him to sell his own like Travis Scott, Cactus Jack merch, and they're allowing him to use the golden arches on all of it.
Shocking.
Right.
Honestly shocking. I looked at this, found it, and pulled it up on the computer, and I said, Travis, we have to talk about this because I don't know if most people are aware of how protective large companies are with their branding. They don't allow, like, brand guidelines. If you've ever seen even a simple brand guidelines document, here's what you can do with my logo. Here's what you can't do with my logo. These are the exact colors that have to be used. The spacing, don't put anything on top of it. Don't put it underneath something. They're aggressive about protecting this equity that they've built.
And I promise you, his merch has violated a ton of their brand guidelines. And
almost all of them.
They've allowed it to happen because they see value in the campaign.
Which is crazy because up until this point, McDonald's, the Golden Arches, you never saw that with anything else. If it was a collaboration, it was the Golden Arches and the other logo, and they were separated, and that's as close as they got.
Right.
The merchandise that Travis Scott is putting out right now that's using the Golden Arches has Cactus Jack on top of the Golden Arches. It's the Golden Arches, and it says Cactus Jack.
Right.
Like, it blows my mind.
Post-production, Caleb, throw some of these on the screen for us.
Bam, bam, bam. Do you see like some of the merch that's coming out and even the prices and stuff for them? What's also insane is that they're showing Travis Scott's meal on the McDonald's website.
Sure.
The McDonald's website then has a button that goes away from McDonald's website to Travis Scott's website for his merch directly from their website.
Travis Scott's site has a backlink from McDonald's.
From McDonald's.com, which like, from an SEO, that's like the holy grail of SEO.
Like, and it's not that Travis Scott like needs that, but it's just crazy like how deep they've gone with this collaboration, and we haven't seen anything like this, even close to this, out of McDonald's. The closest thing that I could even think of is I did a little bit of research, but I watched this Michael Jordan documentary like years ago, and I remember seeing him on a bunch of McDonald's commercials. They did Michael Jordan's McDonald's order in like 1992 or 3, and they called it the McJordan.
The McJordan.
But it was only available in the Chicago area.
Okay.
So it was super regional. They've done a nationwide campaign around Travis Scott's boring McDonald's order, and it's going crazy.
Right. It's the merchandising that's happening too. These t-shirts are selling for $45.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have like $250 like doormats that you can buy that have Travis Scott stuff, and
they've gone the Supreme route completely.
It is insane to me that you are taking all of your branding, because old brand thought with a company is that this is precious, this is sacred, we don't share this with anybody that isn't a complete cultural representation of our company and who we want to be a spokesperson for it. You have Michael Jordan, and they're making a McJordan. Like, Michael Jordan during early 1990s was massive. He was untouchable. Like, yeah, you'd want to put it up there. Sure. As far as all of McDonald's demographic, like, meshing with Travis Scott, I think there's a lot of people that are listening that haven't even heard of Travis Scott. So the kind of jump that a company is making where they're saying, yeah, here, take our Golden Arches, do whatever you want with it, like put Cactus Jack on top of it. And McDonald's is coaching their customer base to say, hey, when you drive up to the drive-thru, ask for the Captain Jack. Like, Cactus Jack. I'm so sorry. It's Jack. Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack.
Ask for the Cactus Jack. Is crazy to me.
Right.
That you're seeing McDonald's do a 180. So 2020 is the year that we see companies killing off their mascots. It's the year that we see brands completely going 180 into reaching out. And you and me 100% believe that this is a move for Gen Z.
Absolutely.
Like, this is the only people that they're appealing to with this kind of a move.
Absolutely. It's the only thing that makes sense. And I think they're going to do a really good job with it. What I think has been super funny is there have already been reports that older McDonald's employees don't get it. Which has been funny. So apparently a question that's being asked of like McDonald's managers a lot is, what is a Travis Scott?
Exactly.
It's just super crazy. I think that we are just in unprecedented territory, and I think it's something that brands this year are having to take so many risks and chances, because we all know they had a bad quarter 1 and 2 because of COVID, like circumstances they couldn't control. And so now they're trying to make them up in these last quarters of the year. And they're willing to do riskier things, you know. I think we kind of saw a preview of what was going to happen with this collab all the way back in February. Like McDonald's released a Super Bowl ad, and I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, saw it.
They were literally showing the favorite orders of different celebrities. So they had Kanye West, Kim Kardashian West, Keith Urban, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. They did like the Big Bad Wolf. They did some fun. They had Julius Caesar eating a salad, you know. I don't know. They had all kinds of different things with orders you could get there. But, you know, Keith Urban orders 3 coffees, which is alarming, Keith.
Get that looked at.
But for them to take another celebrity's order and then actually put it on the menu is just unprecedented and crazy.
Yeah. If you think about McDonald's is one of the best companies at pursuing different generations. If you think to when I was a kid, it was all about the play place and the Happy Meal. That's where they went hard into investing into toys, into really pursuing this Happy Meal play place idea, because they have come out and admitted that they're trying to get kids hooked into a very positive emotion with McDonald's, because then as they grow up, as they have kids, they want to pull their kids into a very similar, and it allows them to continue to be on top. So instead of a play place during COVID, instead of a Happy Meal, what they're doing is saying, whoa, Travis Scott, Cactus Jack, you just crushed it on Fortnite for 12.3 million people. You're widely successful. We're going to put our brand next to yours, and we're going to draw people in to purchase your meal for $6. And this is the way that we're going to continue to bring a positive impact into the Generation Z, into these people that are flossing on Fortnite with their victories. And
he moves product, dude.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's a killer. He moves product. It's like he's got a Nike shoe line that is impossible to find. You know, and another thing that I think is notable and funny is what we're also starting to see is McDonald's. So McDonald's has these exclusive uniforms made for the Travis Scott collab. You know, it's only going to go on for a month. So
it's meant for employees of McDonald's.
Right. And McDonald's employees for the next month are supposed to wear these Cactus Jack uniforms, and a lot of places aren't even getting them. And we're starting to see them all pop up on eBay right now. Post-production Caleb will pop those up on eBay.
I'll show you some links.
It'll be good. But it's just so funny. We're already starting to see people selling their uniforms, and I'm really eager to see like how expensive these things get over time. It's just it's like McDonald's is just dipping into shoe culture right now.
Right.
It's astounding.
Which is so interesting to see the biggest fast food company on the planet make this kind of a move with their brand, because now you're seeing a bunch of other small companies watching this and phenomena going, if McDonald's can do it,
so what are they going to do?
Right, they're just going to, it's Burger King.
Who does Wendy's get?
And Lady Gaga, I guess. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's how do you find a demographic of people that you're wanting to connect to as a brand, and you're willing to play loose with your branding to the point of, there are a bunch of McDonald's people that's not their music. They don't like listening to that. They don't get it.
Right. I mean, I think that if everyone's going to be making this push towards like reaching Gen Z, I can totally see Coca-Cola using TikTok celebrities to start pushing their product and brand. We're about to be in some really weird territory.
Where before, if Michael Jordan, who hadn't heard of Michael Jordan in 1992?
Right. Absolutely.
Like, outside of a certain demographic of people, probably 30 and under, I would say, are people that are aware of Travis Scott.
McDonald's globally would have killed it in the 90s selling the McJordan. I think that was like one of the greatest missteps that I could even think of regarding McDonald's.
Is not releasing it more than just Chicago?
Right. You're only going to sell that in Chicago? You know, that's crazy. But then again, like he was in the middle of his tear. You know what I mean? Like if you sold the McJordan in like 97, I think it would have gone crazy.
There are some things that I'm interested in. One, like stuff this just happened.
Sure.
Like this week, if not just in the past couple days, as far as launching out.
Yeah, I launched on the 8th.
Okay, so 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
This is what happened. I'm curious if we ever hear what kind of deal Travis Scott is getting and what kind of kickback that McDonald's is getting for the use of their brand. I'm so curious to see future quarters in terms of sales. How much is it selling? Yeah. Like, I'm so interested on whether or not this is successful and should businesses do this with their branding. Like, the reality is this is not a play that 99% of businesses can make. McDonald's can make this play because they're McDonald's.
Sure.
They're the biggest.
They can do what they want.
They can be loose with their brand because everybody on the planet knows them. Mm-hmm. Like, I do not think for a second, small business down the street, that people still don't know your name, that you can be this loose with your branding.
Right.
Do not follow the McDonald's tactic because you don't have the level of rapport that McDonald's has with their brand. You don't have the level of equity that they built that allows them to cash in on some of that equity.
Like, you need about half a century worth of brand equity to make a play like this.
Right. And even then to see it play well.
Sure.
Like, I just can't imagine the amount of strategy that went into pulling something and how much conversation needed to happen behind the scenes with McDonald's corporate to make a move like this and see it actually become profitable.
Right.
It's a very, very interesting phenomena.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how all this plays out.
100%. Expect a later episode with future data.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I would hope so.
If it comes out, it might not come out, but if we get it, we will talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's about all the time I think we got for today. We have a 4 p.m. coming up, so we're going to wrap it up
100%
and get it going. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Disruption and Kindness and supporting us so far. The reception for the last 2 episodes has been great.
Truly thankful.
You're able to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. Stay tuned for weekly episodes dropped every single Friday. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook. We want to do a whole lot of community building, and doing a lot of community building is going to allow us to get questions and discuss things with you guys and to really address some great podcast topics that we can address from week to week. And we're excited to continue to make awesome content. And stay tuned for more episodes of Disruption and Kindness and episode 004 that launches next Friday. We love you guys. Thanks.
See y'all there.
Boo-doo, ba-doo, boo.